Hello, I want to thank you for clicking on my channel. I'm PI187, and today I'm going to be reacting to Germany's Pripyat Soviet ghost town with a nuclear secret. So I've said before that I'm into abandoned places, and this is a whole town that's abandoned, so it's pretty crazy. I actually just watched a video there yesterday about like 12 abandoned villages or towns. They weren't really cities in Canada. It was pretty crazy. Few of them were like mining towns. Other ones were making paper pulp. But when the main business that was keeping the whole town afloat went under, pretty much the whole city or town died off. And one of them's pretty crazy because they have a waterfall that's supposedly bigger than Niagara Falls next to it, and they were making hydro there. And because the city or town has been abandoned, there's no use for the hydro. So they've filled it up with video cards and put Bitcoin mining, made it to a Bitcoin mining center, and using the hydro from the waterfall to mine Bitcoin, which I thought was pretty crazy. But other than that, it was a pretty interesting video. But anyhow, let's check this out. This looks pretty neat from the picture of the thumbnail I saw. So let's do this. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, sorry I stopped that for 1 second. I would love to go wander through all this. That would just be so cool. I also watched a video the other day. I guess they call them urban explorers that go and check out stuff like this. There's this video I watched. This guy who found this house, kind of just sitting in the middle of the woods, um, and it was abandoned only like around 2012. Half of the rooms had caved in due to water damage and whatnot, but like there was a lot of stuff these people left behind. VHS tapes, PlayStation 2 games, a talk boy from the movie Home Alone, um, different stuff, a Hulk Hogan doll, and um, it was pretty neat. Um, but yeah, I've always been into like just going and checking out places that are really like stuck in time. You know what I mean? Like they just leave it behind and they walk away, and hopefully, if nobody comes in and destroys it, people can enjoy coming and looking and being like, wow, this is how people lived back then, or this is the type of stuff they had. And I'm sure there's lots of them that get looted and whatnot, but it's crazy to see what people will leave behind when they have to.
This is Germany's Soviet legacy. Once
That's
built by the
nuts.
Nazis as an airbase for their Luftwaffe, this enormous and secluded military area was occupied by the Red Army after World War II. This was the biggest airfield in Eastern Germany, with thousands of soldiers living here. But when the Iron Curtain was lifted, they left. For 30 years now, this has been a ghost town.
Wow.
In today's video, we set out to explore the vast remains, and even end up where the atomic bombs were stored that should have left Western Germany in ashes.
This would definitely be a good one to go check
Follow us to
out.
the Soviet wasteland, but watch where you go.
So much history.
If you enjoyed these explorations, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to support our project Broken Window Theory.
And I'll obviously leave a link down below to this video if you want to go subscribe to them or like, or you know, whatever. Want to watch the original. These guys camping in here?
Good morning from the wasteland. Surrounded by nothing more than woodland solitude, we spent the night in Cold War ruins. These are relics of Eastern Germany's Soviet occupation. The Red Army's Air Force was using this site as a bomber base at the very front. The hostile West was just 200 clicks away from here. But what you see is just the barracks. The former military base is much, much bigger.
Wow.
But for now, let's start here. This is where we slept. The derelict vehicle halls. Where there was a concrete area in the past, is now woodlands.
Nature's taken over. And to think, probably another 200 years or so, this will all just be gone. Trees will overtaken it, grass, everything. And it'd be like it never existed, except for maybe some of the concrete stuff might stick around. Like that one bunker they were standing on looked to be pretty, built pretty crazy. But anything built of wood, like I said, all that, they said like the concrete there in the ground will all be covered with grass and you won't even know that it was ever there. Unless you try to dig a hole, you'll find out real quick. I used to build fence. I dug a lot of holes and I run into some pretty crazy stuff digging holes. Oh, yeah, unless you went out there digging a hole, you wouldn't know what was under the ground. I don't know why he's doing this. Getting firewood? Yeah, firewood, I'm guessing.
This is a nice campsite. It was raining all night, but we had no tent, just these hammocks. So we needed to find a place indoors.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
This garage's roof is actually asbestos sheets.
I've never thought about actually camping out in like urban exploration area type thing like this. I camped a lot as a kid, tents. We had a hunting camp, which was made out of an old barn. We tore down the barn and we built a hunting camp using all the wood from the barn. It was for my stepdad to go deer hunting all the time. And, but I used to love as a kid, like going into the woods and just finding a spot to pitch a tent and camp in a tent. But this would be just amazing. Like this would be pretty cool. As long as nobody came along you while you were in here camp sleeping and whatnot.
And some of them are broken, which means dangerous fibers got airborne. But with the lack of rooftops and missing doors, there also comes a lot of fresh air and ventilation. So asbestos was no problem, and we had a great night. With our beds made and an extensive buffet breakfast, we are ready to explore.
So, wo gehen wir lang?
That's actually a good question. With countless ruins to discover, it's
Yeah,
hard to
this place
decide
is
where to
massive.
start. And not all of them are that obvious. After
Look
decades
at
of being
that. That is phenomenal. How many trees are growing through those buildings? There's almost more trees growing through the buildings than there is around the buildings. And like I said, give it another 150, 200 years, you won't even know those buildings were there. That woods is just going to take right over it, destroy the whole thing. That's insane. Wow. This would be so cool to check out.
Some structures got completely swallowed by greenery. Formerly big roads are overgrown today, and we have to keep an eye out for signposts between the trees.
Look at that.
This is the first available road we could find. The mossy path is leading us straight to the ghostly barracks, once home to 5,000 Soviet soldiers and their families.
That one looks like it's in good condition.
But today, these apartment blocks are nothing more than eerie, empty shells.
Yeah, that's held up real well.
Before the area was handed over to German authorities in 1992, Russian troops stripped everything. Yet still, this post-apocalyptic-like wasteland is not only fascinating to us, but also inspiring.
So what would have this been right here? These concrete fence parts. Like, what would that all be about? These people were like maybe a guard stayed or something. Maybe a guardhouse was in there at one point. I don't know. Maybe there's a gates here to go through and you couldn't get into the place without going through this. I don't know. Like, it's just, and those are concrete. That's a concrete fence, basically. Geez, that must have been fun to build. Looks like they're in two parts. Just put these in. You have a channel in the middle. Slide two of these down through it. Sorry about that. I just built fence for like 20 years, so kinda find it interesting. Concrete fence. I've never built a concrete fence. But I was kind of wondering the purpose of it. Like, why is it like sitting right there? But anyhow, let's get back to the video.
Über die letzten Jahre sind wir jetzt schon mehrmals hier hingekommen. Das Gelände zieht uns irgendwie immer wieder an. Aber hauptsächlich sind wir aus einem Grund immer wieder hergekommen. Weil wir haben hier unser Geländespiel gespielt. Wasteland Operations. Da gibt es mittlerweile eine ganze Serie auf unserem Kanal. Und das hier ist genau das Zentrum von unserer Map, also von unserem Spielfeld. Sollte genau hier.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I would have definitely been in there playing around. That would be a wicked place. Like, paintball would be amazing there. Hide and go tag. Like, it's basically like hide and go seek, except for you have to touch the person. You can't just see them. There's a lot of games you'd be able to play in there. It'd just be probably so much fun. Not to say it might be dangerous in some spots, but when you're a kid, you don't think about that shit.
Hier sein, umringt von 4 Blöcken. Und sobald diese ganze Corona-Sache ein bisschen abgeflaut ist, werden wir auf jeden Fall wieder anfangen, hier Wasteland Operations zu spielen.
In our outdoor game, a sneaky agent is infiltrating this post-apocalyptic world to accomplish a random mission. Two opposing players are trying to stop him. If this sounds interesting to you, you can find the link to our Wasteland Operations series in the video
That
description.
does sound interesting. I'd want to play. See, that's another one of those things. Right here in the center. Maybe it was a garden or something. I don't know. It's just weird. If you know, leave a comment down below, like what these little concrete fenced-in areas were used for, if you happen to know that. Crazy, look at the trees everywhere. Just like there would have been no trees there back in the day. Maybe a couple, but those all look fairly new.
Alles mega bunt jetzt.
Ja, seit wir das letzte Mal hier waren, ist es auf jeden Fall zu einem ziemlichen Sprayer-Mecker geworden.
Ja, wir kommen ja eigentlich jedes Jahr hier hin. Und inzwischen, also diese Wasteland-Vibes, die sind jetzt ein bisschen verloren gegangen. Jetzt sieht man, dass hier regelmäßig Leute hinkommen.
Mhm.
$2020. Oh. That pool's seen better days.
Das ist uns auch neu. Die Straße ist ziemlich aufgeräumt. Sieht aus, als ob irgendein schweres Gerät hier rüber gefahren ist, die ganzen Bäume gefällt hat, weggekehrt hat.
Yeah,
Bei
that's
den
definitely
letzten Mal,
been
als wir
freshly
hier
cleared.
waren, da war ja kurz vorher so ein richtiger Sturm in Deutschland. Und da war hier die ganze Straße blockiert. Auf einmal war ja kurz vorher so ein richtiger Sturm in Deutschland. Und da war hier die ganze Straße blockiert. Auf einmal ist alles freigeräumt. Also eventuell könnte es auch sein, dass die Gemeinde jetzt irgendwelche Pläne hat mit dem Gelände und das vielleicht auch irgendwie verkaufen will oder so und deswegen das ein bisschen ordentlich macht.
Ah.
Das sind wirklich 5 Stück. Das ist so
Was?
krass.
Ah.
Jo. Ganz kleine Vogelbabys, obwohl so klein sind die nicht mehr, ne? Die müssen bestimmt bald raus.
Ja, früher haben hier in den Gebäuden noch Menschen gelebt. Jetzt hat sich die Natur alles zurückerobert.
Wow. That hallway goes forever.
It doesn't matter which apartment block you enter. Wherever you go here, you will find nothing anymore.
Oh, really?
Compared to where they came from,
Oh, there's some newspaper. 1987. I was 10 at that time. And that looks like it was under the wallpaper. Like, it looks like the wallpaper is ripping down and this was underneath it. Maybe used for insulation or something. I have some in my basement, much older than that, from was it 1930s, I believe. They'd used it to wrap the pipes in my basement, and we just recently had the furnace changed, and I'd found newspapers in this house before. I ripped out a wall in my kitchen, and it used to have an old wood stove pipe in it. And when I took all the wallpaper off and everything, and I got to the actual pipe that went through the wall, they had jammed an entire Toronto Sun newspaper from somewhere in the 1930s into it. It was pretty crazy. It was the entire paper. It was in mint condition. I still have it. And then when I had these guys come in to change my furnace, when they took out my old furnace, above it was old pipes that obviously haven't been touched since the 1930s because they were all wrapped in newspaper. And I guess one of them unwrapped and fell down, and he brought it up to show me because it had some pretty crazy stuff in it. I'm not gonna say what it had, but let's say it's definitely from that time. You wouldn't read that in the newspaper these days. It's definitely dated, but it's pretty crazy to see like the price of things and the way people lived way back then. I ended up going down and pulling a bunch more off the pipes, and I put them all in a tote to save them. Because I'm like really into that stuff, like old history, and I think it's pretty neat. And then to see like what people were selling back then, and what the price of stuff was, and just how different. Like now, newspapers are almost extinct now. Like with the internet and everything, like not many people get them. When I was a kid, I used to deliver newspapers as if for a job, but I don't know if that's really a thing much anymore. I think they still do a little bit, but it's not like it was. Like getting the newspaper isn't that big deal. It's just slowly dying. We used to have, at one point we had our city's newspaper building right here, and they made it right here, but because it kind of died off, they've moved it to a different city, but they still make it for my town, but not many people, it's nothing like it was back in the day. Like back in the day, that's where you got all your news from. And now everybody just gets it from the internet, so.
The Soviet troops had spacious accommodations in Germany. The conditions in these barracks were not exactly rosy, but back in the motherland it was much worse. There, some soldiers didn't even have a roof over their heads. So when the troops left, they took everything with them, from the banisters to the door handles.
Oh wow. They really stripped
Most
that
of what
place
remained
down.
was looted or vandalized in the past 3 decades. Since people didn't fill the ruins with new life, nature did. And this one is not the only resident. Some neighbors moved in as well.
That's pretty nuts.
We're actually close to Berlin. The Red Army was deployed to this place in 1950. Before that, there was only a small military airfield of the Nazis' Luftwaffe located here. First, this was destroyed by the Soviets, then rebuilt as a bomber base, and in the following 4 decades extended more and more. Today, the apartments are dominant, but in the past, this was like a self-sufficient city.
Yeah. It's pretty huge.
The big houses are all empty, so let's find out what else there is to explore.
Ooh, what is that?
Hier ist schon wieder so ein Loch.
Oh yeah.
Hast du eine Ahnung, was das ist? Also hier geht es irgendwie nicht weiter.
Ach, das sind Rohre.
Ja.
Boah, hier sind richtig viele Mücken.
Geht's irgendwo weiter?
Mosquitoes.
Ja, man könnte bei den Rohren entlang kriechen, aber sonst geht's hier nicht wirklich weiter. Vielleicht ein Wartungsschacht?
Gonna get eaten alive in there.
Nee, das ist zu eng und lohnt sich wahrscheinlich nicht.
Ein Loch?
Walking over these maintenance shafts on the surface, we are going to a structure that's a bit outlying.
Yeah, that tower looks cool.
And this is what remains of the old combined heat and power station.
Oh, ein bisschen mehr sieht mir als das letzte Mal. Jo, das ist sehr grün drum.
Ja, in der Halle haben wir als wir das letzte Mal hier waren, noch übernachtet.
Crazy. Are they gonna climb that tower?
Of course, every proper airbase also has an airfield. And that's where we are arriving now.
Yeah, that building looks like, those buildings, actually more than one building, will look like they'll last a while. They'll end up getting buried, but it'll last. Wow.
By now, most of the large airstrip has a new purpose. Actually, a highway is going through it. But scattered around it, you can still find these shelters where MiGs were parked.
Wow.
Guck dir mal an, wie die diese riesen Tore bewegt haben. Die laufen hier auf Schienen.
Ja, riesige, massive Tore auf Schienen.
The radioactive sign is just graffiti, by the way. But it reminds one of the nuclear secrets that were hidden in this airbase somewhere. We'll get to that, but we just spotted an interesting looking structure behind the trees.
passt auf jeden Fall gar nicht zu den ganzen anderen Gebäuden, die wir hier gesehen haben. Die waren alle viel einfacher und das sieht so herrschaftlich aus.
Steht aber nichts dran, dass das mal gewesen sein könnte.
Nee, vielleicht Offizierscasino oder irgendwas, wo die hohen Tiere empfangen wurden.
Vergesst nicht, den Kanal zu abonnieren, ihr kleinen Explorer. Sonst hole ich euch.
Almost every window has a tree growing out of it. That's crazy. Ooh. She's definitely decaying in there.
Again, it's all empty. But this one feels like it's very close to collapse.
Yeah.
At first we weren't sure, but then this turned out to be the old pilot school building. The original structure might even
I thought by looks of the front of it, it was, it looked like a school.
date back to the Nazi era. At least it looks that old.
Yeah, you definitely want to be careful in there. Falling right through the floor. Like that. Wow, it's pretty brittle.
Apparently this wasn't built to last.
Basketball. That must have been the gym.
Alter. Sieht sehr geil aus.
Sehr geil aus, ne? Richtig coole Stimmung.
Mhm. Dass der Basketballkorb da noch so schief hängt.
Ja.
There's a guy holding a gun and a guy with a basketball. Have a shooting range in there maybe too?
We would need to spend more than just a day.
Huh. These signs. That's not very nice. That's crazy. Don't open, dead inside. That's quite the building though. It's definitely really falling apart. Yeah, you definitely need to spend more than one day there to explore everything. I would say so
Day here
too.
to explore everything. Well,
place is
probably
massive.
even weeks. There are ammunition bunkers hidden in the woods, as well as a weather station, a Lenin memorial, and a lot more of these plane shelters. Let us know if we
Really?
should come back to do a follow-up, since there is much more left to see. But
Oh,
wait,
there's-
this exploration isn't over yet. We're back
Okay,
at the
good.
camp.
I was gonna say, there's still lots more to see.
Wir machen jetzt los. gehen zum Bunker, brechen auf unserem hier, holen unseren ganzen Kran. Und dann haben wir echt ziemlich langen Marsch vor uns.
Yeah, you would almost think you need to spend a week there to see everything. I don't know what kind of vehicle this is, but I'm guessing we don't have them here, because I've never seen that symbol before. Maybe they're only in Germany, I'm not sure. Or maybe over in Europe, and we're not allowed to have them over here in Canada. But yeah, I don't recognize that at all.
This is a 2 kilometers long runway that's connected to the airfield and leading to a command post with a bunch of bunkers. Since the runway is blocked, we have to walk. We are targeting one particular bunker. Once you hear what was hidden inside, you will understand why it was stored in an outlying area, away from the rest of the military base.
Oh, there's gonna be something.
Eine halbe Stunde sind wir
Crazy,
einfach
ne?
geradeaus gelaufen und jetzt sollten wir da sein. Ja, das sind auf jeden Fall Gebäude.
This place is insanely massive. Look at that.
Also unseren Infos.
According to info, the entrance should be behind the small hill. I think we have to squeeze through a tiny hole again.
Sollte der Einstieg irgendwo hinter dem Hügel hier sein? Ich glaube, wir müssen uns wieder durch ein richtig kleines Loch bringen.
Oh, no way.
Das wird ein Spaß.
This is how they get in? You're joking.
Okay.
Wow. That's a tight squeeze. Wouldn't want to be claustrophobic.
Kaum sind wir in den Bunker rein, hat es angefangen zu regnen. Hoffentlich fließt das Wasser hier nicht rein, während wir exploren.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh my, look at that.
This is where nukes were stored.
Look at those doors.
If the Cold War had turned hot, then Soviet bombers would have dropped these nuclear bombs over near Western Germany or Austria. The total destruction of Munich and Vienna with atomic weapons was planned, and pilots trained regularly in dropping these bombs.
Na, aber guck doch mal, die haben das zugeziegelt, dann Stahlplatten. Die haben die Leute auch weggeschnitten und dahinter sind wieder Ziegel.
So just look at this. It was sealed when there was arse. Then there are steel plates behind that people were trying to cut through. And behind that is another layer of bricks. Wow. Yeah, they didn't want you getting in there.
Es kann sein, dass es dahinter halt noch einen richtigen Tunnel gibt. Dass es alles früher noch viel, viel tiefer ging.
Es geht da unendlich weiter.
That's crazy. Someone tried to dig through that. And it's probably not safe behind there. Who knows what's still back there?
Das ist ziemlich wichtig.
This is insane though. Like, so the only way into wherever they are was that small little hole they had to climb through. That is crazy. So I don't imagine a lot of people get in here. Probably been very few amount of people that have gotten in here. That door looks pretty nuts.
Sind wir ziemlich gesichert? Nice.
aber leicht zu öffnen.
Fuck the norm. Whatever that means.
Ja, also hier oben sind die Räume leer, größtenteils. Hier ist auch nichts mehr drin, außer hier an der Wand noch 2 Symbole. Auch definitiv von damals noch die Symbole, hier ist die Farbe, die abblättert. Handschuhe, Schutzhandschuhe und Schutzbrille. Also hier könnte eine Rot drin gewesen sein. Und alles, was heute hier noch drin ist, ist extreme Feuchtigkeit. Und der Verfall ist auch schon sehr, sehr weit fortgeschritten.
What you saw in today's video was actually only a handful of more than 1,000 former Soviet properties in Eastern Germany.
Wow.
And this nuke depot was also just one of many others. In fact, 500,000 Red Army soldiers were garrisoned in Eastern Germany until the early 90s. Most of these areas have a new purpose today, but we also documented some of the abandoned remains on this channel already. And yet, it would be a life's work to explore all of these former Soviet ruins in our home country. Many of them are contaminated with dangerous waste. For example, there could still be live ammunition in the ground. So when they withdrew, soldiers left behind wastelands. But by getting back home to Russia, they arrived in the middle of a mess as well. After the fall of the Soviet Union, there was just chaos.
That is pretty awesome, though.
In this video, Marco and I were accompanied by our buddy Toby Urbex. Here are some of his shots he took during our exploration. Find more content on his Instagram. As always, the link is featured in our video description down below.
Oh, some good pictures.
We have a lot of adventures planned for this summer, so we might not stick to our regular upload schedule.
That looks pretty awesome, too. Wow. Winter Games 2006 versus 2026. Abandoned Olympic sites in Italy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how they do that. They'll spend like ridiculous amounts of money on these Olympics because you know how they move around from country to country every year. So whatever country's hosting it spends just a stupid amount of money for everybody to come see it, and then when it's all over, it just gets abandoned. I've seen other videos. I don't think I've seen this Italy one here though, but I have seen a video about like one of them anyways that was like they spent like millions and millions of dollars for this Olympics, and then afterwards they just walked away and abandoned the whole thing, and it's still all just sitting there. It's just nuts. Seems almost like a giant waste of money, to be honest. Just for to find out who deserves the gold more than everybody else, and just like the reality is with how much money they sink into doing these things, you think they just pick a place, build the ultimate, Olympic site, and then use it year after year after year. Keep it up. But instead, they let the country sit there and blow all their taxpayers' money or whatever on building these ridiculous giant Olympic, and everybody tries to outdo the other country from the year before or prior years or whatever, and yeah, and it's just, in the end, it's just a giant waste of money. But it is what it is. But yeah, that was a really good video. I really enjoyed that. I could imagine it would honestly take weeks. That place was huge. Like, even the fact that they had to bring out their car at the end to get from one point to another shows how big that place is. And like they were saying, there's like they're all over the place over there, like these old bunkers and whatnot. So maybe there'll be some more I'll be able to check out. But I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool. Kind of sucks that they were completely emptied out and looted, and there was nothing really to show like what it looked like at the time, other than what was left behind, which wasn't very much. But it still was really awesome. I really enjoyed that. We have a lot of adventures planned for this summer, so we might not stick to our regular upload schedule. Yeah, I get it. It happens. I haven't been really sticking to my schedule either. Um, I got to deal with the snow here in Canada, and it's been snowing a lot. And like I've said in prior videos, I do yard work. I'm a lawn maintenance person. So in the winter, I do driveways. So we get snow, I go to work. We don't get snow, I stay home. That's pretty much how it goes. And yeah, we this winter has probably been one of the. They actually said it's like the most snow we've had in 50 years here in Canada, which longer than I've been around. Not much, but just a little bit longer than I've been around. But I do remember some pretty crazy winters when I was a kid. Like, we got a lot of snow, but say the last 10 years, I'd say, we've only gotten very little snow. We had green Christmases. You'd be lucky if there was any snow, like I said, on Christmas, or you could look outside and the grass would all still be green and you'd see it no problem. But not this year. This year we've been getting dumped on by the snow like insane. Everybody's got 5, 6 foot piles of snow out in front of their house, out their whole front yards just piled up. Um, the streets are slowly getting caved in by the mounds of snow on the sides of them. And even doing driveways kind of sucks because you're starting to run out of places to put people's snow because just it hasn't warmed up that it's melted, and we just keep getting more. We had a cold streak there a couple weeks ago where it was like minus 27 Celsius, which is fairly that's cold enough. You don't need it to be any colder really. Right now it's actually really nice out now. It's let's see, -6, -6 Celsius. Don't mind that. Um, like after having minus like 27, -6 is like it doesn't even bother you. I see some people the other day it was -4 and people were out in their shorts. Like that's not my cup of tea, but the reality is I don't wear shorts in July, so um, I'm a pants person year round. Um, but yeah, for when you get the really cold weathers, and then like I said, gets to like -6 or -4, it it's not even that cold anymore. But yeah, we had a cold, like it was like I'd say about 2 weeks of really cold weather. Um, my furnace even had my new furnace I was mentioning in the video earlier that I just got even had a hard time keeping up with how cold it got, which I wasn't very impressed with it. I was I would have thought it would have done better, and like right now it's doing great, but like I said, it's only -6. But when it was almost -30, it was having a hard time keeping the heat at a decent level in here. But like I said, it only lasted a couple weeks, and now we're back to warmer weathers. But because it hasn't hit above zero, none of the snow's melting, so we just keep getting more snow. It builds up, more snow builds up, freezes, and either turns to ice, some of it, or yeah, it doesn't go away. And I'm looking forward to a winter ending this year because it's been a really hectic winter. We've done a lot of snow. Um, I don't think I did snow yesterday. I don't believe we have, I'm looking at the weather here, if you wonder what I'm doing. They're calling for snow tonight, but it doesn't look like there's going to be much. Not enough that I'll have to go and work tomorrow. And other than that, it's like almost a week away, snow. And that doesn't look like very much. And then rain, +4. That's going to be crazy. We're actually, maybe that'll start getting rid of some of the snow because we really need it gone. But I think this whole next month's going to be crazy. But anyhow, yeah. I get into I get in these long rants. I start talking and then I just don't stop. My parents hated it. But anyhow, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you could like, comment, subscribe, that would be amazing. I really appreciate it. It really helps out the videos. And yeah, I'll leave a link for these guys and for this video down below, so that if you want to, watch the video without me in the background, or, you want to just go and give them a like or subscribe or check out something else they've done, it'll be there. All right. So, I want to thank you very much, and you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. All right. Bye for now.